happy Sunday and welcome to our kind of spontaneous, not even really mid-year goal bookish reading life evaluation party. And it's a party because we brought snacks and drinks, and that's really the only difference. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I have a cake in a mug. I'm very excited.
Yeah,
I have something in the mug.
To be fair, we were on hiatus at about the mid-year point, so.
Oh yeah. This isn't something we usually do, but I think it'll be interesting to kind of see because really good timing. As of tomorrow, there are 100 days left in 2019.
Oh no!
Why
would you do that to me?
I don't know. Every year at the 100-day mark, I'm like, okay, is there a thing I'd love to be able to like do for 100 days in a row that I can do at the end of the year? I never come up with anything, but it's always something I think about. So, kick things off. First question is going to be compared to where your initial goals thought you would be this year at this point. Where are you now? This can be reading, writing, any of those things. And I won't make Megan go first because now she's always first in this new setup. So Emma.
Yeah, I'm definitely not where I thought I'd be. Just like the thing at the beginning of the year, I was like, oh, by the end of this year, I'm gonna like have this book done. I'm gonna have like a round of revisions done on it. It's gonna be great. And like the book's nowhere close to being done. So and there's 3 more months.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the moral of the story is going to be that nobody is where they expect it to be.
No.
So it's good. Helen, how about you?
By like it was like last week or something, there was the latest round of Pitch Wars or Pit Mad, and I was going to have my gay fantasy pirates ready for Pit Mad, and it was nowhere near. I'm still like 8 chapters into the second draft, like nowhere near ready. So yeah.
Fair. Megan?
It's complicated. I had some like curveballs that were not in my control that I wasn't expecting. So I'm like kind of where I wanted to be, but also like it's an unexpected place to end up because my agent did stop repping almost all of her fantasy. And so my goal had been to have my revisions finished so we could go on sub with that. And I do have my revisions finished. And so now I'm just gearing up to go back into the querying trenches with that. So yes and no.
But you did great, so that matters.
Yeah. I did finish the revisions. It took a little longer than I was hoping, but I finished them. So I'm still riding that high.
Yeah, and honestly for me, like it's gone so far off the rails, I couldn't even tell you where I thought I would be at this point. So I thought it was going to be like a lots of publishing year, and now it's like, maybe less publishing. So we'll see. But now we get to kind of, I don't know, see where we want to go from here. So that's always a good place to be. If you're listening and watching, let us know in the comments how you're doing on all of your 2019 goals, how you are feeling about the rapidly approaching new decade.
Oh no, really?
You're being so right.
I had to like write the year 2020 on something like in an email where I was like choosing a date for like an event next year, like in the spring in my library. And I was like, yeah, can we hold it? It was like February 20th, 2020. And I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for a fresh start. This is a once in a decade level fresh start. So
that is very true. We've got in the discussion section right now, we've got Ravenwater Read and Write and Yvette Kirkland. Hello to both of you. If you're also watching, feel free to let us know how your goals are going and also any goal setting, productivity, motivation questions you might have about getting things done and reevaluating. Just let us know. We would love to answer any questions you might have or any things you just want to hear discussed.
And Griswold is on track for reading, but my other goals were where I thought they'd be. But fourth quarter, here I come. Did you guys have reading goals this year?
I'm way ahead of my reading goal. That's one thing.
Yeah, me too.
I do not want to talk about it. Next subject. No, I'm very, very, very behind. I recently updated my Goodreads goal because I wanted to read 25, and I am at about 10. So
that's
my
still
goal
10
was
books.
It is, yeah.
You still could hit 25.
Yeah, I
feel
did
like.
have a
Right.
child at the end of
last year. Yeah.
2018. Yeah, 2018. I had a child at the end of last year. So
Yeah, my goal was 75 and I'm at 71. So I actually did really good with that goal. Partly because I read so many graphic novels. So it almost feels like cheating, but it's not.
Graphic novels are awesome. Though. I
yeah.
just watched your video today, and I was just like, yes. You know, my goal was set to 52, and I think I'm at 47 right now, or 48. So I might up it to 75 and see how I do.
52 is a good goal, though.
I love
Yeah, it's a book a week.
I say sitting at 51. So I'm like, yes, I like this.
It's always a good goal.
That just reminded me, though, I have reread The Raven Boys again. So my reading list is 4 books higher than I thought it was.
You can, and like in Goodreads, you can like add another range of read dates.
I read it twice this year.
Put it in for both times.
I think it'll only count it for once per year.
For one. God dang.
Because it's like, oh, it's on there for the year. I can try it again, I guess.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing, though.
Mm-hmm.
I need to learn to set more reasonable goals. That's probably my goal for 2020.
What did you set your reading goal for this year?
100. I always set it at 100.
Oh, that's fair.
It's been a couple of years since I've gotten there, I think. But
the one year I set it at 100 was the year I got nowhere close to it. And so I was like, oh, let me bring it back down to 75. And now I keep going over. Can't take the pressure when it actually says 100.
Yeah.
The one year I set it for 100 and I got to 97. Like it was so close. And then I was in a reading slump for 2.5 years. So
man.
I don't set it that high anymore.
Yeah, I like just checked and I'd forgotten this, but like last year I read 95. So I was like really close to 100.
Wow.
That's a lot last year.
Maybe I could. That does not feel like something I could do. That is so many books.
Yeah. I think I listened to a lot of audiobooks that year, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It does take me longer.
Yeah. Well, it's just that I can like do like, so like I can read a book when I'm just like reading, but when I'm driving, I can like listen because I can't be reading a book while I'm driving. So that would be dangerous, I hear.
Apparently.
So it just allows me more opportunities to read, I guess.
Yeah.
When I do both.
I rewatched Buffy this year and Angel. So I finally wanted to jump back in and read all of the graphic novels, like the season 8, season 9. I think they have up to 12. I'm like, if I did that, I could get to 100.
Yeah.
Apparently it just got rebooted under a different comic branch or something too.
Yeah, I know Dark Horse sold them or something, but I don't know.
Apparently the new one is great.
I'm on board. I'm also really enjoying new Archie, so I don't know. Reboot all the things.
I just found what's it called? The Wicked and the Divine at Value Village. So I'm just like,
oh, is it good?
I haven't started it yet, but I know the premise of it and I've heard like such good things about it, so I'm very excited.
I have it on my list, but I haven't read it.
I have a mouthful of cake. Someone else talk.
Taking the chance.
Or we could all stare at Kelly.
We can all take bites of our dessert.
All right, any more cake then?
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, does being this far behind your goals / on track in some cases feel on par with years past?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Most years, other than the year I had the 100-book goal, I usually do really well on my reading goal.
Yeah.
Not as well on my writing goals. I tend to, like, at the beginning of the year, I'm like, okay, like this year, because I feel like at the end of the year, I tend to do pretty well with writing. So I'm like, oh, this momentum's totally going to keep going. And then like the first like 4 months of the year, I get no writing done.
You know, this year is the worst I've ever done on a reading goal.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I always feel really confident about is that over Christmas break, I get a bunch of like YouTube star memoirs and other celebrity memoirs. And then I just binge read them like all through the first 2 weeks of January. So I start the month with like 10 books and then it's only up from there. And I didn't do that this year. I bought Michelle Obama's memoir and that was it. And I should have bought like 6 more.
That one's long too. It takes a while.
It's long, yeah.
I listened to the audiobook and it took me like the full 3 weeks that I had it from the library.
It is wonderful, but it was long.
Yeah.
I feel like I always have a hard time gauging how my writing goals are going to go.
Mhm.
Like I usually set the goal to revise one book and write one new draft. Or like when I had a lot more free time, it would be like to revise 2 and draft 1 or revise 1 and draft 2. But it's so hard to tell like how the year's gonna go.
Yeah. And it's hard to anticipate if you're going to be like, you're going to get halfway through the book and realize it's wrong and have to like scrap it and start over again, you know? So it's hard to just be like, oh, just finish. Cause like, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to focus more on quarterly goals of like just looking 3 months ahead. I can do that. It's hard. Like I like having a sense of where a year is going to go, but it never goes that way anyway. So like doing something like this of like a midpoint reevaluation, I think should be more of a thing.
Like plotting of productivity. You like plot your next 4 chapters.
No. And Griswold says, I just finished the first volume of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina and really enjoyed it. That was so dark. So dark. Like I haven't watched the Netflix show, so I don't know how much it lines up, but that was not what I was expecting from like.
I've heard very good things about
Netflix show
both.
is pretty dark.
Yeah, I don't know. As someone who grew up with like the sitcom Sabrina, having these things happen to these characters is just really traumatizing.
It took me a long time to be like, okay, this is different.
Yeah, I think a show would be easier. Like in the comics, it's like a really like old-fashioned style art. So like there's not a lot of character detail and stuff. So it's really easy to just like imagine them how I see them in my head. Yeah. So, but very, very good. Just not for me at all.
Kelly doesn't do spooky.
It's not even spooky. Like it's just legit dark. It's not even like witch spooky stuff. It's just, like some of it. But yeah.
I ride that line so carefully of like I love the dark and the spooky, and then I start it and I'm like, oh no, I'm scared. I don't want to. Yep.
That's why I haven't gone to see it too yet, because I know I'm gonna have to go see it by myself now because I live in a different city. And I don't know if I want to see it by myself.
That's why I still haven't seen the first one, because I know my husband won't watch it either. So
I just watched the first one for the first time because I was way too scared to watch it. Never. I don't do like movies in particular. I never do like horror spooky movies, minus like the Hannibal Lecter movies.
Oh
are probably the only ones I've ever like willingly sat down and watched.
Yeah, I really liked the first It.
It was good. It was
down
really
with scary
good.
movies. I just don't like to watch them by myself, and so my husband won't go to them, and I have no one else to watch them with.
Yeah. I did. One of my goals for this year was to watch more horror movies and read more horror books, since I do like writing spooky, dark things, and so I wanted to be more well versed in the newer adaptations, things that weren't like 25 years old. I'm very excited. Netflix just put on We Have Always Lived at the Castle, so I'm gonna watch that next. Goals. It's got Sebastian Stan in it. It's based on the Shirley Jackson novel. My favorite of her novels.
I wonder if it was added to Canadian Netflix.
The true question.
It's always my question.
Yeah.
There was something that we had that they didn't the other day.
You guys had Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, that was probably
we've had Brooklyn Nine-Nine for so long.
A lot of stuff that's only on Hulu for us is on Netflix for you guys because you don't have Hulu. So.
That makes sense.
We have like a lot more streaming services, and so that's annoying because they're split up between different places.
Yeah. We are getting Disney Plus though, so it will all be okay.
One more thing to pay for.
I don't even care.
I know.
I just want access to my Disney movies, and I am happy.
I was like looking through the list, and there's a lot of good stuff.
I know,
because it's like not just like like just the Disney stuff that you think about, but like all the Fox stuff and
everyone's 2020 goals is just like a list of movies.
I always have a section that's like movies to watch this year, and I highlight them in whatever color I've assigned for that month as I go.
I haven't done a good job of keeping up with it, but for a while I did. But in my bullet journal, got this idea from Pinterest, of course. I had like a movies I wanted to watch thing where it like looked like tickets. And you like colored them in after you watch them. Yeah.
So artsy.
I know, right?
Mine's just a little list.
It was the one artsy thing I did, but then I like forgot to keep completing it. I got rid of my movie pass and then like I stopped seeing as many movies.
My bullet journal is downstairs, but I have a list of 100 squares that I've been filling in new movies. I've been trying to watch 100 new movies this year because I tend to just like rewatch the same things over and over again. So I'm definitely behind on that too, and it's not as pretty as Emma's list. But I've watched at least 50 this year, which is like I'm not usually a movie person, so I was trying to like this year a little less TV, a little more movies, and see some of the stuff I always said I'll watch eventually. I'm like midway through The Dark Crystal now, which I should have watched a long time ago. But puppets are weird. So.
Yeah, I watched it. I think I've seen the movie, but it had to have been a long time ago. Like, because it looks familiar, but I don't really remember anything about it. But I watched the first episode of the show, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard such good things about the show. I'm like, I should watch the movie, I guess.
I've never seen Dark Crystal, but when I watched The Labyrinth, it made me want to watch it like really bad. And I made all my friends watch The Labyrinth, and like half of them were super into it, and the other half were like, "This is just weird." And I'm like,
it's so great.
The baby from Labyrinth is one of the puppet masters in the Dark Crystal.
Really?
Oh, wow.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter.
Matt hasn't seen Labyrinth. I should fix that.
It's a classic.
So good.
Maybe my 2020 goal is 100 movies Matt should watch.
Yes.
And I'm always finding things that like Michael hasn't seen. And I'm like, have you not watched this movie?
Well,
like he had never seen The Princess Bride at one point, and I was like,
Matt
wow.
tried it and didn't like it. I know.
I made my movie theater they were doing like a retro series, and the first movie that they did was The Princess Bride, and my mom had never seen it. And she was a teenager when it came out. So I was like,
It's been a lot of years to have seen it.
I took her to see it, and she was like, okay, I don't get why everyone loves it, but it's fine. I was like,
I have no mother.
We can't be friends anymore.
I remember like not long after we got married, like I said something about The Princess Bride, and I found out that my husband thought that like, because we like both grew up Mormon, and he thought it was just a thing that Mormons were into. Like he was like, oh yeah, that's like such a Mormon thing. Like all the like young Mormon people I've known have been obsessed with it. And I'm like, no, this is like just like a cultural thing. Like a culture thing.
It's
People
just
love this
amazing.
movie.
Well, and then there's been the whole thing with like the reboot lately, and even Carrie Ellis was like, there are a shortage of perfect movies in this world. It would be a shame to ruin this one.
Yeah, the only good like idea I've seen for like a remake would be, and I think it was Jennifer Lofgren, I think she's like an agent. I think she was the one who tweeted about it, but like it was basically an idea of like it's Fred, what's his face, the kid, what's his name, that actor. That it's like him as an adult, and he's like on a camping trip with his daughter or something, and they get like stuck, and he tells his daughter the story, but it's like his version of it, and he changes it because just the whole idea of The Princess Bride is supposed to be that like you keep like adapting and changing the story in like the book, and so it would be like him like changing it slightly because it's like how he remembers it, and like him retelling the story to his daughter. And like that would be cool if it was like meant to not just be like straight up remake, but like actually like this is another.
That would be amazing.
I want it to be he takes his daughter camping and starts telling her this story, and then it's just cuts to the actual movie. They've literally just superimposed him as an adult over him as a child.
They just changed the, like the reality scene.
Yeah.
That would be really, putting that theaters would make money.
Yeah.
It's really good.
We did a whole new like. Anyone who hasn't seen the movie and like saw the trailer for it and went to it, like they still see the exact same movie, just with the kid aged up. Like, make them understand the amazingness of The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
All right. So goals.
Goals.
Is that what we're talking about?
Are you sure?
Goals and snacks. So does anyone have a guess of any kind about how the rest of their year is going to go? what will you be trying to get done? It's like heading into NaNoWriMo is really more of the.
I'm very nervous for November because it's when all of my final projects are due, and I'm taking 2 English and 2 creative writing courses, so I have to do 2 major essays and then revise short stories and poems and all that kind of stuff and have them handed in. And then I'm still in ML for Nano, so I also have to like actually do stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm nervous, but
You
it's
got
gonna
this.
be great.
Yeah.
You can go to events and work on homework.
True.
I would put the homework in the word count thingy. It's writing.
My creative writing stuff 100% will.
Yeah.
Like, easy. Although we have such major like word constrictions on our short stories, and it makes me sad. Like, our longest one can be 1,000 words.
Oh,
Yep.
that would be difficult.
You would not know how to do that.
Yeah.
Neither do I, but I handed it in today. Yep.
Yeah, I have like 1 paper that's due in mid-November and then like 2 at the beginning of December. Plus, I'm like going to a conference at one point, and like I have like friends and family coming like 2 weeks back to back in November. Right.
I am optimistic about November / the rest of the year. December also exists, but November's the thing we're all gearing up for. My book is out with 3 beta readers right now, and if I had to guess, I would guess it will take a couple months to get feedback from all 3 of them. And so I'm hoping that means that I could maybe pop out a new first draft, because I have an idea that I'm very excited about. I would love to finish the year with another first draft. And then be able to just really hammer down edits again in December. So I can hopefully get out in March or whenever it's died down, all the people who are like January 1st queriers. We'll see. It never seems to go how I expect it to go, so
I
we'll
was
see.
actually listening to a podcast with a couple of agents recently where they were like saying that actually it is a really good idea to submit in January.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, a lot of people are nervous too because they figure everyone else is, but they're like basically like when like agents like reopen their queries or like get back to work after the holidays, like just go ahead and submit. 'Cause, like,
Okay, maybe
You
I
can
will
see
start
Megan
earlier.
reevaluating her.
She's like,
Oh,
oh,
no. I
Reevaluating
am like the lady with the math equation.
Yeah, that makes sense. Of like,
It
just
does.
before their list gets too, like before their like
Before it
slush
gets
pile
backed up.
gets too big. Yeah.
That was my agent before. She has had a lot of success selling books going to editors in January. So I probably
Yes.
should have extrapolated from that.
Yeah. They're like agents and editors just getting stuff in January.
Okay. Cool. This is fine. I would still like to have another. I still think it would be feasible for me to have another first draft because I tend to write shorter first drafts, and I am usually good at writing a messy quick draft. So, goals.
Woo! Spoiler alert for our Q4 video that's going up soon. But I think I said in that my goal is to like write 15,000 words by the end of the year. So that's fairly doable. But then, of course, I thought my yearly goal was doable, and it didn't happen. So
I didn't even realize when I was filming my quarter goal stuff that this is the last quarter of the year. It's been a trip, guys.
yeah, I don't know. I'm very much of the mindset of just like bring on the next year. This did not go how I needed it to.
It hits October and Kelly's like, time for a fresh start.
Pretty much.
It's not coming this year.
Instead of celebrating like proper New Year's, use Halloween as your New Year.
Yes, this is the new year now.
This is your New Year now.
No.
Yeah,
Not a
'cause I
terrible
do think
idea.
fresh starts are nice, but I also think it's like you can find, like with NaNoWriMo, a lot of people take that as like fresh start, day one, let's do this.
Mhm.
And this is the perfect time to start prepping for Nano. If you don't know what Nano is, it's National Novel Writing Month. go to nanorimo.org to learn more. More
Still have to learn my way around their new website.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I haven't even looked at it.
I looked at the homepage. Ed is on it, the For the Words owner. So I like sent him a screenshot laughing, and then I forgot to go looking at it. So
There's been some interesting conversations with the MLs about the new Nano website.
it's not loading for me right now. So
It's a work in progress.
so we'll call that a 2020 goal.
It's a work in progress.
Oh, now I'm in. All my buddies are gone. So sad.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yep.
I'll do another video sometime soon, doing like a getting started on the Nano website, and then hopefully we can get everyone added back who were Nano buddies with us.
Yay.
I'm a big fan of the Nano buddy feature.
Me too.
Social accountability.
Exactly.
Let us know in the discussion section if you're planning on doing National Novel Writing Month, if you're prepping now or if you're waiting for a while still.
I should probably start prepping.
I just logged into the NaNoWriMo website, and like at the top of your page, I guess that's where it will normally show your like current progress, but for some reason it's just showing the progress for my project from 2014 when I wrote less than 4,000 words. I'm like, you couldn't have picked the year that I won.
Wow.
Yeah, my 2011 one is up there. So
Yeah,
that's
it's my first one is up there right now, which is
Okay.
2013. It pins one of your projects, and I think I just don't think they've made it so you can choose which one is pinned yet.
Yeah.
But
That
then
makes
by
sense.
like the time November comes around, you can like pin your current one.
Yeah.
Is I believe the goal.
interesting.
That's cool.
Interesting.
And if you go to like your profile now, it shows at the top, like in a banner, like your overall word count, number of nanos you participated in, and your nano streak. And if you edit those, you can actually pick which 3 widgets are shown. So it doesn't have to be those 3. You can pick something else to be shown instead.
Okay. That is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to sign in and it brought me to the homepage, and then it was just like JK and logged me out. But new websites always take a little time
Mm-hmm.
to figure out the bugs.
And that happens a lot, by the way, when you go between the forums and the main site, because they're separate right now.
Mm.
So like every time you click into the forums from the main site, you're logged out in the forum. But if you do anything except hit like refresh on your page or back, like if you open a new tab or something, it'll log you out again and you have to re-log in.
Mm.
So that's been something that they're working on.
Yeah, one of my big goals for November is to actually attend some of the in-person events. In my last city, I went to like 2, and there was only 1 person there, and I got intimidated because I thought she thought I was a hack, which she gave me no reason to believe that, but I convinced myself it was true. And I chickened out and never went again. But new city, new me, gonna go again.
I tried going to one event a couple years ago, and I didn't see any other people. I was like, am I just not seeing them, or did they move somewhere else? Because it was like at one of the theme parks, like they were going to meet up like in Harry Potter World, and I didn't see any other people. And I was like,
Oh.
yeah. They do like a Ride Around Disney World event every year, which I've never gone to. But they'll like start at like Disney Springs, and then they'll like take a bus somewhere to like one of the resorts, and they'll like ride the monorail and go to like a few different resorts and like ride at different resorts.
That's
Oh,
amazing.
that's awesome.
That's really cool. Back when I was in college, I went to a decent amount of the events, and those were always really fun because it's a lot easier to find people at a college situation because they just get a classroom. And so you show up and there's no question if they're there.
I'm really hoping that my university has people that are taking part, because like the region I ML for is not the region I live in. So my co-ML lives in the region, but we're an elsewhere region, so we're huge. Like we're like 90% online, but she hosts in-person stuff in her city, and that's how like the very first events I ever went to were with her. And she had like a coffee shop for us the very first time, and then she did a couple at her house, and like me and my friend were the only ones who showed up to the one at her house. But it's so much fun to go to in-person stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we have somewhere to stay in Toronto again this year. It's been a while since I've been to the Toronto ones, but they're very big and really intimidating. But a girl I used to do these with like 10 years ago, who were just in a very small local like college group thing, is now one of the Toronto MLs. So I hope she could just
Cool.
introduce me to people or tell me where to sit so I don't have to talk to people or something.
Yes, I'm very excited for that. Maybe my next video is coming up. Maybe I'll start some nano prep for my next video.
Do you guys have ideas for what you're going to work on for Nano?
I am obsessed with the Raven Boys, but I'm not so obsessed that I would normally read the whole series twice in a year. But I listened to it because it's on Spotify. So I listened to it while I was revising because it was very easy to like do my house cleaning and stuff and just have it in my earbuds. And while I was listening to it, I had like a million ideas for this shiny project that I wanted to do, but I was doing revisions. And so I couldn't. And so I finished up the revisions, and now I'm trying to re-listen to get all of the excitement back. So very excited.
Yes.
But I will probably start writing it a little sooner. And just aim to finish, since it'll be more than 50,000 for sure.
Can't relate. My Nano projects, except for like last year, are always so close to the 50,000 word mark. And it's like a first draft of like a fantasy, and I look at it and I'm like,
It's like, how? I've like slowly been getting up my first drafts, and now my problem is that when I do the second draft, I cut too much because I'm trying to clean things up, so I'm getting rid of the stuff that doesn't need to be there, and then it's like, oh no, I made this way too small. Now I need to beef it up again.
I think that's going to be the issue I have right now, because my Fantasy Pirates at the end of Nano, it was the longest first draft, longest anything I've ever written. It was like 73,000 words.
Oh, that's a good length.
Yeah, I was proud of that. And as I'm going through revisions, I'm like, these chapters are significantly shorter. But I'm also changing it. Like, I wrote the entire first draft in third person, and I was going through it, and I'm like, it needs to be in first. So I'm like,
oh, that's the worst.
Yeah.
That was what I did earlier this year, was going from part of last year was going from first to third, because I realized it shouldn't have been in first.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, originally I was like, oh, like no big deal for Nano because I'm still writing the same book and it's really long, so like I can just keep adding more to that. But then I like have had like crisis this weekend and like trying to decide if I should split it into 2 books because it's so long, and so now I'm like I have to figure all that out and still write more.
Or you can finish it and then decide.
But it still needs another like 60,000 words, so I would rather figure this out now and not keep writing the book.
I guess.
And just if that's the case, then I would only have to write like another like 10 or 15,000 and then I'd be done. So
Nice.
but I'm not sure.
I just selfishly want your book. I'm like, don't stop. Just finish the story and send me the first draft.
No, it's like it's this thing where like, yeah, I'm considering like cutting it in half basically and having the first half be 1 book because it's so long and there's so much going on, and I feel like I've really like short shifted a lot of the like characters and world building because there's been so much plot. And so like maybe if I basically where I am now, if that was close to the end of the book, I have to figure out a different like climax, obviously, instead of a midpoint. And then I could go back and like add in some things to like flesh stuff out a little bit more.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That's like, I mean, as far as problems to have go,
Yeah.
it's still a problem, but a good problem to have.
Yeah.
We've got, and Griswold said, yes to Nano. It's the best time of the year. I'm going to start prepping in October. Welcome to the Bird of Inferno, who is late but here. And Zelda Girl Forever said the first draft of my sci-fi novel was only 29,000 words, and when I was done, I was like, this isn't right. We had a question from Endresald as well. Do any of you give yourselves rewards for completing your quarterly goals? I've never done that, but I've been considering it. Any thoughts?
Maybe if I ever completed my quarterly
That's
goals, I would.
Step
like
one,
every-
complete goals.
Every 3 months when we like set our new quarterly goals, I'm like, what were my last ones? Pretty sure I didn't do it, whatever it was.
I tend to have the same like number of quarterly goals that like Jenna Moresi does, where she does like 20 of them, and as long as you make like however many, it's sort of a success. And I tend to have between like 15 and 20, and as long as I get like 8 of them, I'm usually pretty happy. But a lot of them are like really superficial things. Like I've definitely had like rewatch B99 as a quarterly goal.
Good job, Helen.
Yeah, I approve.
It's a perfectly acceptable quarterly goal.
Definitely.
But like I don't reward myself with anything major. It's usually like, okay, you can buy $30 worth of books on Book Outlet, or you can buy that new $80 video game that you've been eyeing. Like it's one thing that's relatively small.
Yeah, a lot of my quarter goals tend to coincide with like what my big goals were for the year. So like for the last 3 quarters, my goal has been to finish revisions. I'm pretty sure the last 3, definitely at least the last 2. And so I finally did that, and we went and got Taco Bell to celebrate.
Hell yeah.
I'm very food motivated. So if I meet a goal, I am probably at Taco Bell like 3 hours later, or like catch me at Publix, just mauling the bakery section. Like, I did the thing.
I do that for studying. When I have to read a boring textbook, I buy like gummy bears or something, and at the beginning of each paragraph, I put a gummy bear. So if I read it, I can have a gummy bear.
Yeah, because usually we're all like, nothing is stopping us from eating the gummy bears, but having it in like a system, I like.
No, I'd still eat them all.
The nice thing is you start like in a textbook, like the big ones with the like size 8 font. You still get like 10 gummy bears on a page. So it's like, you know what? I'm gonna wait 30 seconds for the next gummy
It's
bear.
really good for me to wait 30 seconds.
Exactly. Or I've definitely done like the tortilla chips, the little rounds, and I like leave them on the page with the salsa next to me. And so like I'll take it and dip it and then eat it while I'm reading.
Helen's got a system.
Yeah.
I like that there's like prep time involved.
Yes. It gives you a break from the studying.
Exactly. You get like a good like 30-second break to reset up your gummy bears or your chips and make sure you've got enough salsa.
And you can do this with revisions if you print out, or if you have like one of those iPads or whatever. You can just lay it down the sides.
I always have like one of those huge binders with the printout in it, and I do actually, thanks to your video series, Megan, I use the Susan Dennard blog to figure out.
So great.
Yeah, it's changed my life. I had no idea how to do revisions until I watched that series and then saw the blog post, and I was like, this is everything I needed in life.
Yes, I'm getting the link for people in the
I was just
discussion
gonna
section if you haven't found it before.
It's such a valuable resource. I love it. And when I was doing it for Scarlet, I literally was like, I couldn't be bothered to read my writing because I hated my own writing so much. So I had to do that with like, here, you get chips if you actually read it.
I think that's the only way that kind of reward system would work for me, is like constant reinforcement. I'm like, if I'm like, I'm not waiting more than a minute for a gummy bear, but I'll wait the minute.
Yeah. Honestly, that's why it works, because I can't do that for like, oh, if I finish, like right now I have to read Frankenstein for one of my classes, and I have like 80 pages left of it. I can't sit there and be like, if I read all 80 pages tonight, then I can order Wendy's for dinner. It's like, no, I can just go on Skip the Dishes and order Wendy's.
I'm getting food now.
You're like, I have to eat dinner.
I don't know why it works for me. I'm like, I can't. I will know.
If I didn't have Skip the Dishes anymore, then that would work.
No.
Skip the Dishes has ruined that for me.
Because I will know, and I will respect the decision I made to eat the food early.
No, I will know. I will be sitting downstairs, like munching on my fries, and my husband will walk by and be like, "Oh, you finished?" And I'll be like, "Oh no."
See, if I had someone else I told that to, then maybe, like, if it was like, oh, if I finish this thing tonight, I'm gonna order Wendy's, and then I ordered Wendy's, and they were like, oh, did you finish? And I had to tell them no.
Yeah.
I showed up at Megan's house the day before she was supposed to be done with her revisions, and I walked in the door and said, "Did you finish your revision?"
And I was like, "Leave, go back to the hurricane zone."
Appropriate reaction.
I didn't, but I finished it the next week.
Finished it. Well, you got like really close to finishing them while I was there, I think.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we only got like 15 minutes left, so non-bookish goals or like any books you want to read by the end of the year, movies you want to see, just any fun things for the rest of 2019.
Star Wars comes out.
Immediately pulls out my bullet journal, like, what do I have written down that I want to do?
I feel like there's a lot of movies coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still, oh goodness, all of my, everything I have written down except for 2, no, except for 3 things have come out already and I just haven't watched them.
Fair.
I've got a lot of WordNerds related goals. Like I have a bunch of video ideas that I've been really excited about, kind of doing more of like the like full on class style, like my voice one was, where it's like a longer, really breaking down the fundamentals of writing and like going in depth. And I really, really enjoyed doing that. And I really like making those materials for people so that they can access them for free. But I just didn't have the time earlier this year, but now I actually do have the time. So I'm hoping to get at least a couple more of those out, like the really in detail ones. Yes. And I would love for the WordNerds to hit 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year. It feels like we've been sitting just below it for years.
What are you guys at? Or can you see it on air?
700.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. We've been here for a long time.
We've been in the 9,000s for at least all of 2019. I would love to.
I remember you guys hitting 9.
Yeah.
I feel like
we
live here now.
Yeah. Tell your friends, please.
Nano is like gold season.
Yeah.
That's how I found you guys originally. It was my 2nd year taking part in Nano, 3rd year. I can't remember when I auditioned for you guys. What year was that?
A few years ago now.
That was a long time ago, yeah.
Was that 2016?
That sounds right. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 years ago.
I don't think it was the year I got pregnant. So
No, definitely not.
So 2016 sounds right.
2016 sounds right. Yeah, because I think I found you guys the November before that, so 2015. So it was my 3rd Nano, but it was my first one that I was like looking into the community and not just sitting in my room frantically typing at a computer.
Yeah. I guess it's only fun if you do this with other people. Otherwise, it's just a lot.
It's just torture yourself.
Yeah, and I remember looking it up because I was like, oh, I wonder if anyone, like, I think I had found Kat's NaNoWriMo vlogs. So I started looking up Nano vlogs and you guys came up and I binge watched like all 800 videos you had out at the time.
Oh my god.
I'm not even kidding. I like finished, or I was close to finishing the binge when you guys put up your audition video. And I was like, oh, audition time. Yeah.
Oh, we have a bonkers amount of videos. If you knew, we used to do videos every day. Now we do it Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Definitely did not keep up with them after that. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully it's more manageable now, but it's been a lot. So it's been what, 7 years? I feel like I was accidentally saying 6 for a while, and then Megan said 7.
I think it's been 6.
Because it was the same
Okay.
year I got married, so
Okay.
6.
Yeah, it was the year after I got married.
That's how I always remember it. I'm like, what anniversary did I celebrate this?
Yeah,
I still have
it's-
like a lot of books on my 2019 list that I like 2019 releases that I want to read.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how many of them I get through.
When is Cold on the Hawk?
November.
yeah.
I'll create the special edition box, and I managed to snag one.
I'm curious because I read the first like 3 chapters, and I just skimmed and found the Ronan and Adam parts because I didn't care about the rest of it.
I'm curious with having reread, and Maggie Stiefvater is also doing a reread of the books, and she's live tweeting them, and she's tweeting pages that are like, "This is what Call Down the Hawk is about," and that has gotten me a little more excited.
Yeah.
Like she tweeted this one passage from Blue Lily Lily Blue where they talked about like, are there other places like Cabe's Water? Are they all over the world? Could we wake up all of them, and would they talk to each other? And she was like, "This is Call Down the Hawk," and I was like, "Okay, I am interested."
Oh, I was never not interested because there's so much in that world I'm curious about.
I was just really worried I would also only care about Ronan and Adam.
I started reading it, and I like read like the first couple chapters that are from other characters' points of view, and then once I got to like the Ronan point of view, I was like, no, I just want to read the Ronan books.
I'm pumped.
I'm really excited because Queen of Nothing comes out in November instead of coming out next year. So
What is this?
it's the final Cruel Prince.
Yeah.
Back. It was supposed to come out in like January or February or something, and they moved it back to November. So
That's a great title.
It switched with someone. Like, there was something else that was supposed to come out in November, and they basically just did like a little
nice.
switcheroo because Holly Black was done with it and ready to
Yeah.
go, and they needed more time or something.
So it worked out for us. That book.
That was actually like I follow all of Owl Crate's stuff because I really like the girls who run it. And they were talking about it because they've done special boxes for each book in that series. So they were like, obviously, we're going to do a special box for Queen of Nothing. And yeah, that being pushed forward was a lot for them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They have 2 like.
It was a few months in advance that it got pushed forward. So that was, she like
It
announced
just
it
ended
like
up being
summer.
Yeah, it ended up being I think 3 boxes in 1 month that had to all be curated. So they were like, "Oh boy, why did we do this to ourselves?" But it's good. Their special boxes are always so good too.
I've been waiting to read that series because I wanted to wait until all the books were
I was very angry at the end of book 2, so it's probably a good idea.
Yeah,
I finished it and I was like, what? And that was before they announced the new release date. So I was like, I have to wait. Like at the time, I was gonna have to wait like 10 months or something.
Yeah, I'm still working my way through next week's chat topic, which is our book club, right?
Yeah.
Next week.
Stranger's the Dreamer.
Yeah, talking about Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. So that's my only reading goal right now is just to finish that on time.
It's a chunky book.
Yeah.
I was gonna reread it, and then I convinced a professor to check it out and read it, and so now the library copy is gone.
Rude.
And I guess I could go buy one, but I haven't.
We had in a discussion section, and Griswold said, "I really want to open an Etsy shop. It seems like I put it off every quarter because I'm too intimidated."
Oh.
You should do it.
Do it.
Do the thing.
I'm also curious about what you want to sell.
Yeah, I want to know too.
Yeah.
Is it bookish? Because if it's bookish,
Really, any kind of adorable crafts. I'm interested.
I mean, true. Very true.
We will peddle it to people. So you have us on your side.
You've got a fan club.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at movies, and I hadn't even heard of it, and I saw a trailer for it, whatever I saw last time. Knives Out. It's like a murder mystery thing. Like Chris Evans is in it. Jamie Lee Curtis, Christopher Plummer. Like it's got a really good cast of like somebody gets murdered in like a very Clue-esque manner. Like manner as in type of house, not type of death. And then so then it's like any one of them could have done it, and they're all just like kind of hilarious rich people.
Did you see the one with like Jennifer Aniston and Adam
Yes.
Sandler, where they like it's a movie on Netflix. It's like they're just like married couple and like they never went on a honeymoon, and so he like finally takes her to Europe, and what's his face? He's like Gaston in Beauty and the Beast. He Luke Evans, I think. Yeah, so he like is this like rich guy who convinces them to come on a yacht with his family, and someone gets murdered, and they're like the prime suspects, and so they're trying to figure out who really did it. It's hilarious.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Speaking of Netflix, I'm very excited for Raising Dion, which is coming out on October 4th. I just watched.
Oh, that's so soon too.
Yeah, it looks so good.
My secret movie shame that I am so excited about is Jumanji 2.
I love the first one. It was so good.
So good.
It's hilarious.
It was really like surprisingly good. I did not expect to like it at all.
Oh my gosh.
I love the first, like the original Jumanji, so I was like so hesitant about it. And then I started hearing good things, and I was like, you know what? I like Jack Black. I'm gonna go watch it.
I don't know. I don't have a ton of like great Jack Black movies, Kevin Hart movies, The Rock movies.
Mhm.
So I was like, but it was great.
Yeah. And I feel like part of why it works is because they didn't try to make it just like the original. Like they just did something new with the concept. And I think sometimes that's the best way to remake something.
Yeah, for sure.
Unlike The Princess Bride, apparently.
Yeah.
I liked that they did the explanation for why it's a video game instead of the board game, and that it like adapts itself to the time. I was like, okay, you put some thought into this. I'm here for it.
I like the nod to Robin Williams' character. Like he was here. That was great.
That movie used to scare me when I was a kid.
Intense.
I have like vivid memories of watching the like animal stampede through the house, and then like the old safari dude who was just like hell-bent on hunting them. And it terrified me. I watched it when I was like 7 or 8, and I was just like, oh no. Don't think I watched it again until I was like 15, and then I fell in love with it.
And Griswold's Etsy shop for Harry Potter inspired quilt patterns.
Nice.
I'm in.
100%.
I know a lot of quilters too, so
I will become a quilter. For my wedding, I like on my bridal registry, we asked for a couple board games, and one of them was called Patchwork. It's like a kind of quilting themed board game, but my cousin got me that game and a bunch of quilting supplies that I haven't gotten rid of. I'm like, I could make a quilt. I just don't know what to do. Do I just put these together and now it's like
yes, that is how a quilt works. You put them together and then you lay under it.
Nice.
See, I mentioned earlier, but I'm going to mention again, I did put a link to Susan Dennard's Guide to Revisions in the discussion section. It is 100% my favorite writing tool. I have it printed out so I can access it all the time.
Every single time I start revising something new, I dig through to your video and find the link to that.
Yes, it is the method that taught me how to revise. And even though I don't follow it exactly the same anymore, like it is the skeleton of how I do it all. So highly recommend.
It's so good.
Especially if you're looking to, get really motivated, since we are in the last 100 days of the year coming up, starting tomorrow or whatever. I don't want to think about it, but you do. It can really be the thing that helps you feel competent, which is the thing that I find slows me down the most, is feeling like, oh, well, I don't even know what to do. I couldn't do that if I wanted to.
That was definitely my problem with it. Like, I was one of those people that always went into revisions as if they were line edits. Like, I didn't comprehend, like, looking at big picture problems first. And that definitely makes it, like, way easier to understand why, and like a good method for how to do it, especially if you're not someone who's done it before. Like, it's very beginner friendly.
For sure. Yeah, she thinks about it like a scientist because she is a scientist, and everything is science. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I find in general her tips can be really helpful with like things that you struggle with in like writing and revising, because she thinks of things so like logically and scientifically instead of just being like, it's just an art. Like, you know, like this is how it works.
It's an art, but you can still dissect it and figure out what makes it that way.
It's the things that aren't just like really innate for you as a writer, her resources tend to help with a lot.
For sure. And she's just a great human.
She is. She's wonderful. All right.
It's been about an hour.
Yeah. Any final 2019 thoughts, goals, fears?
I have a lot of fears. We don't have time for that.
Exactly.
None of you are licensed therapists.
No one is ready for my list of fears. No, I think definitely keep pushing forward. Just because the year is almost over, you can still get a lot done.
Yeah.
And while it's like nice to have like fresh starts and start on new things in the new year, like if you don't finish something this year, like there's no law that says you have to like stop working on everything on December 31st and start new things in January.
Yeah, I think that like the flip side to the fresh start thing is for this last 100 days, if I don't have a set goal, I'm still working towards stuff, but it's less pressure. Like if I just, let's see what I can get done in 100 days. And then I'll make ridiculous goals again for the next year.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. We will be back next week with our monthly book club, which is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. It is wonderful. If you haven't read it yet, it's very big, but I've read it very quickly because I couldn't stop. So highly recommended. And of course, we will have videos on Tuesday and Thursday, and hopefully we will see you all next time. Bye. Bye. We wait for a long time now.